Platoon! Hump! Listen up, maggots. Your orders are simple, and you will obey them. Do you understand?
Sir, yes, sir!
I can't hear you.
Sir, yes, sir!
Here's what's gonna happen. When you are dismissed, you will report immediately to patreon.com/storiesfromthetrail, where you will support the podcast that you are listening to right now. Do you understand me? I will make your life a living
Sir, yes, sir!
You're going to school!
Hello. Testing 1, 2, 3.
Hey, there's somebody who I can hear. Oh, wait a minute, I'm on mute. And now you should be able to hear me. Hi.
Yo, what's up, Gary?
Hey, what's up, man? Wow, you sound really good. You must have like a professional microphone set up or something over wherever you are.
It is my cell phone.
No kidding. Wow. I wish everyone had a cell phone as good as yours. Seriously, you sound like you're in a studio, man.
Hi, and welcome to Stories from the Trail.
Wow. We might use that. All right, good. Yeah, you sound good.
So what's the deal with the show tonight? Who's all going to be on?
Well, I know Fozzie's coming, and you're here, and tonight we're going to talk about trail traditions.
Ooh.
Yeah, I actually did a little bit of research for this one.
Yeah, you're probably going to be able to enlighten me on some of this stuff. Are we talking about specific trails, or is this kind of all-encompassing?
Well, I wanted it to be all-encompassing, but in my, when I say research, I mean my hasty Googling within the last hour, the best I could find was there's tons of AT traditions, and it doesn't seem like any of the other trails have trail-specific traditions. So I'm hoping that maybe someone else can help us enlighten us on, like, what's a PCT tradition, what's a CDT tradition. I found lots of like the top 10 things you have to see on the PCT, but nothing like jumping off the James River Bridge or the half gallon challenge, things like that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of PCT traditions. Huh. I tried to start one and get one going in Cascade Locks. The Reptar Hikes Pizza Burger Challenge, or the Reptar Pizza Burger Challenge.
That just sounds like something fun that people should do on a regular day.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So the Pizza Burger Challenge in Cascade Locks, if you go to the Ale House, they have what is called the Hiker Trash Burger. And when I got there, well, heading into town, me and my trail fam, we were joking about, should I eat Tuzza pizza burgers or Fritza pizza burgers? And so, it was just kind of like a joke we had going. And so we get there, and so they've got this, it's like 2 personal pan pizzas with like a half-pound burger, I think.
Oh, man.
Wedged in the middle of them. And it comes with a side salad.
Well, what's the point of that, right?
But, yeah, well, I got mine with fries. And so, I don't know if I want to, like, tell this whole story right now. But, yeah, so, like, I get mine. Oh, and look, Jules from the Ale House is here. Woohoo! But yeah, like, so I go in and I'm like, all right, well, I'll just try to give one a shot, and so instead of the side salad, I got fries with it, and I'm like drinking a beer and whatnot. And then I get the one down, and all my friends are like, all right, man, go for the second one. And I'm like, oh God, I don't know. And I was like, all right, well, I'll only do this if we can, like, start a challenge of it and try to get other people to eat 2 of these things. And so, we had, like, the Rocky theme music going on, Eye of the Tiger, and I'm like sitting here trying to destroy this second pizza burger, and it did not end well, man. Oh my god, there was like a fourth of a pizza burger left, and I just had to tap out. And I have never been that full in my entire life. I think had I gone into it like, all right, I'm just gonna eat the burger and the side salads and like drink water, like I think I would have been all right. But yeah, like I think the fries and the beer really put a damper on that.
Oh man, I don't even want to ask what the aftermath of that was like.
It involved me vomiting. Oh, it was miserable. No. Yeah, I was like uncomfortably full for like hours after the fact. Ugh.
I can't imagine why this tradition never caught on.
You're right. Well, apparently other people have done it. Other people have attempted it, like after the fact. Like Jules told me that, she had other people try it, and I think there was actually a kid that did it, like just crushed it. So it's doable.
Sounds insane.
Yeah, it's like 5 pounds of food or something. I don't know. It's ridiculous. But on that note, I will return momentarily. I'm actually going to go grab a beer.
Hey, I think I'm going to do the same. All right, I'll be back in a minute.
All right.
Harry, are you there?
Hey.
Oh, hello. Who is that?
That's Reptar.
Ew, I don't know what I'm doing.
Hey, I got a main question.
Yeah.
Do you know of the ship, the Portsmouth, or no, the Portland? Do you know about the Portland ship?
I know about the
history.
City, the Portland ship.
It was a boat back in the 1800s that wrecked, and like every year, people see the bodies that were washed up to shore from the wreckage.
Oh, the shipwreck?
Huh?
What?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
What do you mean? You don't?
What you mean?
You're
like
saying currently today people are seeing bodies of the
ghosts,
ship?
the ghosts of the people.
Do ghosts? I don't do ghosts, so I'm not aware of this ghost story. I see the new Ghostbusters, which was awesome.
Have you ever heard of the DART?
A-R-T?
DART.
Sorry, I think it cut out.
It's a DART ship. It was like a really fast ship, like in the early 1800s, and I guess they were like kind of legalized pirates during the War of 1812, and they would rob all these British ships, and they got cocky one day and they challenged another ship to a race, and they raced right off into a thunderstorm and were never heard from again.
On a 3-hour tour.
Hi, guys.
Oh, goodness.
No, it's Gary.
Great.
Daniel, you sound disappointed.
You never call, you never text.
Hey, the episode that we released, was it yesterday or today? The one where Gary doesn't speak?
Oh yeah?
Yeah, today,
I know that
think.
one.
Yeah, we can do that again. My job is real easy when you guys show up.
Yeah, but you have to keep us on topic or else we'll just derail everything.
That's part of the fun, is watching this thing fall apart.
Oh,
feeling
wow.
better? Because you sound great.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I actually regained the ability to breathe about 2 days ago. And
Excellent.
What a difference. What a difference oxygen makes.
Have you been sleeping like a normal 8 hours a night instead of 15?
Yeah, but what's weird is I somehow I'm a little jet lagged. I'm almost not quite on London time. I'm getting my 8 hours of sleep, but I'm getting them between the hours of 2 a.m. and 10 a.m. for some reason.
Can I just say something? Actually, first of all, can I have a sound check? Can you hear me all right? It's Fozzie, by the way.
Hello, Fozzie.
You can hear me. That's good. Gary, I'd just like to say that for the last 4 days, I've had a horrendous cold. I've been snotting, sneezing and coughing, and despite the fact that you're in the States and I'm in England, I blame it firmly on you that I caught it.
Yeah.
There's something going around. There really is. All my coworkers are sick.
There's like...
I just got over being sick.
It's a thing.
Yeah, there's like some
sick as a dog last week.
Stephen King level super flu going around that's so strong people are catching it over the internet.
Even King super flu level.
King super
What
flu.
is that?
King super flu. Has anybody had norovirus recently?
Has anybody had a confirmed diagnosis of that one?
Yeah, the cast of The Stand. And now I can't hear anyone.
That might just be one of our awkward pauses.
Oh wow, yeah, that caught me off guard to have so many voices suddenly silenced. It was like Alderaan exploded. Hey, so what is our topic this evening? What the hell are we doing here?
I thought that was a really slick transition from King Superflu to has anybody had norovirus? But
oh well,
I
guess
want the episode to be about norovirus.
Yeah,
is
norovirus a tradition on the trail?
The tradition in that a lot of people get it.
That's true. Yeah, that actually could have
I have
been.
never had noro.
The tradition in that the trail is a breeding ground for norovirus because of the volume of people that are crammed together.
It is. It's also it's also a breeding ground for rumors.
I suppose it depends on the definition of traditional, really. I haven't looked up the definition of traditional, but I guess it's something that happens.
Yeah, I think we're stretching it.
On a regular basis, but maybe
on
not
an annual type of basis. That's kind of what happens with the trail.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I'll do a quick formal intro and then we'll jump into it. If I could build a time machine, I'd go back and just call this the hiker hangout or something like that, because it seems a little bit more like what we're doing. We get the whole community together once a week to talk about topics that are relevant to people who are planning their first long distance hike. Last week we talked about we had our first gear talk last week. That's right. And tonight we want to talk about trail traditions. Hopefully not just AT trail traditions. It seems that most of the traditions that I could find online or that I've experienced myself were AT related. But we're going to try to see if we can branch out and find traditions related to other trails around the world, not just the Appalachian Trail. Before we do, I want to start with something that we haven't done in a long time, and this is listener questions. We got some emails from listeners, and I want to take a moment and answer some of their questions. We got this one from Glenn Miley. This is actually a 3-part question. And it kind of relates to topics that we've covered in previous episodes of Long Distance Prep School. Let's see. Glenn writes in and asks, can you give us a detailed account of a day in the life of an AT thru hiker? That's actually such a good question that we're going to devote an entire episode to just that topic. I went ahead and edited our schedule. There's a Trek post that I've been sharing that lists what we're doing with this hiker prep school, and it also lists the classes that we're going to be giving and in what order and what date they are. I've updated that one to include this week and next week's topic. So next week we'll get to detailed life, a typical day in the life of an AT thru hiker. All right, so Glenn goes on to write, my biggest fear stems from the logistics of prolonged cold and wetness. Hey, does that sound familiar?
Oh boy.
Yep.
Accordingly, a detailed account of logistics would be a very helpful episode. For example, what do you do from dusk to noon on a cold, wet day? And we'll include that as part of our typical day in the life of. So he goes on to ask a few more questions, and there's one here that I think that we can actually get into tonight, because this gets into specifics, and everybody might handle this one a little bit differently. I'd like to hear how you guys do this. So Glenn says, you pitch your tent in the driving rain at dusk. Are you relegated to the tent for the night? Do you bring your gear inside or leave it in the puddled vestibule? How do you keep from soaking your dry gear in the transition to your sleeping clothes?
Oh,
Who wants to take that?
That's fun.
I'll have a go.
Me.
Okay, Megan, let's hear. We haven't heard from you in a while. What you got?
Well, first of all, I don't like tenting in the rain. So if it's raining, I always plan my day to be at a shelter or in town, whether that means hiking an extra long day or hiking kind of a short day to try to be at a shelter. If not possible, and I do have to tent in the rain, which, I mean, Gary and I both had a relatively dry summer. You would say that, right, Gary?
I think that's safe to say, yeah.
There wasn't a ton of rain, so we didn't have to do this a lot. But you get really, really good at maybe work on some yoga beforehand.
Yeah, that'll help.
Yeah, because I tend to keep my backpack in my tent with me, but when it's wet, I absolutely do not. But I had like a special way that I worked out to, well, first of all, I didn't hike in the rain in a lot of extra layers. Like I didn't do I tried rain gear, but I ditched it all because I didn't like having that much wet stuff. I'd rather keep my hiking clothes dry into my pack and wear like minimalist hiking clothes, like short shorts and a tank top or just a sports bra, so that my nice warm shirt or multiple shirts, like a sleeping shirt and a hiking shirt, were dry and in my pack. But I found a way to like get in the vestibule and take off certain layers and then just like scoop my butt into the tent and then change the socks and shoes.
So you're kind of
clothes as you enter the tent backwards.
So you're kind of using the vestibule of your tent like an airlock on a spaceship.
It's an airlock. That's exactly right.
Okay.
That's exactly what I would do. So I would zip that down really, really quickly and then do whatever I needed to do, except for cooking, but do everything I need to do in that vestibule and leave my shoes, socks, everything right out there. I would never bring shoes into the tent, like wet shoes and socks, unless, I don't know, if it was going to puddle underneath. Like if it was really a horrible, horrible campsite and it was going to puddle there, I might consider bringing them in.
Okay.
But because they're going to be, if it's going to be raining the next day, they're going to be wet regardless. Like they're not going to dry. So just give up on the notion that those shoes are going to be dry, because they're never going to be dry until they're in the sun.
Okay.
Yeah, so the year I hiked, I guess, was a lot different than the year you guys hiked. I think the first 18 out of 21 days on the trip, it rained. So it was wet all the time.
Sucks.
What I did is, there comes to a point when everything you have is wet. No matter what you do, it's just, wet or damp. When it wasn't raining for weeks straight, usually what I would do is I would keep a set of dry clothes in like a trash bag. So I'd have warm gear that I could put on no matter how wet or cold it was. Like for an example, there was a time when we were in Maine and it was just above freezing. And I almost got hypothermia, but I set up my tent. Yeah, I just pulled out. I just stripped down, took all my clothes off, just left my pack in the vestibule, and stripped down and threw on all my warm clothes, and then just hopped in my sleeping bag. I also keep my sleeping bag in a trash bag also to prevent that from getting wet. Typically, depending on the situation and if I'm with somebody or have somebody else sharing a tent, usually if it's raining, I'll just throw my tent or my pack in the tent with me, depending on whether or not I'm actually setting up the internet or not. Sometimes we'll just set up a tarp. More often than not, just kind of keep it in the vestibule because everything's going to be wet anyway.
That is true.
And just try to keep your dry stuff dry and, embrace the suck the next morning and throw on all that wet, cold gear again and do it all over again.
I don't think we can overstate the importance of having dry things at the end of the day. with like a dry sleeping bag liner, and sleeping clothes, like insulating layers that you can wear in your sleeping bag when everything else is wet. I think that's hugely important. Reptar, you used trash bags mostly?
Yeah, more often than not, just trash bags.
Yeah, because you could use trash bags. There are special, like, what are those sacks that they use? The waterproof sacks. They're like waterproof stuff sacks, but like, isn't there a name for them? They're like the roll top ones that they have to fold over a couple different times.
Dry sack.
They're dry sack. Thank you. That's really a stuff sack that's dry. It's the dry sack.
Is there some kind of sack that's dry? What would you call that?
I've been living in the real world a little bit too long, guys. My brain's trying to complicate things, but that's really, really important. Having dry things, and a dry pair of socks. Oh my God, a dry pair of wool socks that were just for sleeping, and those were just a lifesaver for me.
Oh yeah, I had a special.
You have to get used to. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I had a special waterproof stuff sack that was my sacred sleeping sack.
Yes.
The sacred sleeping sack it's like the holy grail. You carry it around in the Ark of the Covenant. You do everything you can to protect this.
Sacred's a good word.
No water may ever touch this bag for any reason.
Sacred's a really good word to describe that.
Actually put a link.
Getting on your wet clothes in the morning too. I didn't mention that, but Reptar reminded me of the feeling. Like, Reptar, when you were saying that, I was remembering what it felt like to put on cold, soaking wet clothing in the morning, because you keep your hiking gear separate. You don't wear your dry clothes the next morning because they're dry and start off dry. If it's going to keep being rainy, you got to put the wet clothes back on, and man, that's uncomfortable, especially if you're wearing like skin tight type of clothes, like any type of spandex or stretchy thing that's close to the skin, or even semi close to the skin. Once there's water in it, just kind of sucks down to you and it clings on you. It's so uncomfortable.
There was one time I was in Washington, I think it was, and it had rained, for like 2 days straight or something. So everything I had was pretty much wet, with the exception of like a few pieces of gear. And I knew that I was going to be heading into town that day. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to throw on that dry gear that I have. And it was such a stupid decision, because literally 5 minutes after leaving camp, I was already drenched to the bone again. And it's just like, you might as well just embrace it, The
way I took it, I was going to be wet within a couple hours, whether it be from rain or sweat. So I just allowed those clothes to be, they're just wet all the time. They're wet and they're gross, and then they'll get washed occasionally.
Yeah, you're putting on
like when merino wool was like, it was bone dry, and it was comforting when I went to bed.
Yeah, you're putting on wet clothes first thing in the morning almost every day on the trail, whether it rains that day or not. If your clothes aren't soaked from rain, they're soaked from sweat. You just pretty much always have.
And if it's too humid, as it is oftentimes too humid, even sweat won't dry. Even if it's dry the next day and it rained the night before and it clears up and there's sun in the morning, you're not necessarily going to have dry clothes, because the humidity level is going to be such that the clothes don't fully dry and there's still like a heavy, damp feeling.
Yeah. It's so unsatisfying putting a warm foot into a wet sock.
If you want to practice, guess you could like go swimming sometime like in the early summer, and then just like let your, I don't know, leave the swim, whatever you swim in, like someplace to like get cold, let it cool a little bit, and then try putting that on like first thing in the morning at like 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
Or just walk around in the shower for like an hour.
Turn on the shower, but too cold, absolutely cold, whatever it comes out feeling like. No heat at all, no cheating. Stand there for a while and then go walk around. Take those clothes off and then go put them back on, but you can't let them sit near a heat source. And that's just, to prepare yourself mentally.
You have to take the clothes off in the shower and then let the shower rain on you, and then put the clothes back on while you're still in the shower, and then keep going.
We're not laughing because we're like telling you to do something stupid. This is real. This is
so
how
true.
bad it is.
So true.
It's so bad. But at least that water, like, I mean, it's consistent. It's not like it lessens a little bit and you get a little hopeful and then it crushes your dreams again 15 minutes later.
So we joke about, doing trial runs in the shower, but one of the things that I actually did and recommend to people, I teach a class at RAI on how to prepare for a long distance hike. And one of the things that I always tell people, they don't believe me, but this is true, is go out into your yard and set up your lawn sprinkler and just have it aimed at one spot on the ground, like instead of having it go back and forth, make sure that spot gets good and, good and muddy to simulate real conditions. Leave your lawn sprinkler on and then set a timer. See if you can get yourself into set up your tent and get yourself in while staying completely dry in like 5, see how long it takes you, because those are, real things that will happen on the trail that you need to train for.
That's a great idea.
And
for sure.
I think I must have just must hike the AT in a good weather year, because I don't remember getting wet too many times on my whole hike. I think I just must have been lucky.
Keith, did you even hike the AT? What year did you do it?
2012.
Who did you bribe to get good weather?
Well,
can I have a contact?
The really strange thing is, I remember getting back and talking to people kind of online and in some groups, and a lot of people said, they got so fed up with the weather, and a lot of them, I think there's a group called the Wolf Pack, and they always seem to be like a couple of weeks behind me, and they always seem to have permanent bad weather. And I swear to God, I think there was a total of maybe 5 or 6 days where I had rain on the AT. That was it. But this group 2 weeks behind me, they just got completely soaked. So,
Fozzie, you're just so fast that rain doesn't even touch you.
Maybe that's what it is.
That's it.
He goes in.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe my aerodynamics are so good it just beads up and flies away.
Scientists should study you.
Maybe so.
All right. So the last part of Glenn's question I want to address, and then we'll move on to our actual topic for this evening. He said, how do you deal with the transition and keeping your clothes dry while you transition into your sleeping clothes? And the way I do it is both of my tents that I typically carry are made by Big Agnes, and a lot of tents employ this design where the rainfly can be set up independently as its own piece. You don't have to have the inner part of the tent and the rainfly combined. So what I always like to do is get my poles out, extend the poles, clip them into the rainfly. And for this, you need the ground cloth, because it's those grommet holes on the edge of the ground cloth that hold the tent poles in shape. And that's what allows you to hang just the rainfly. So before I even open my tent, my rainfly is already set up. Then I can get inside that, and I have all the room in the world to get out of my wet clothes, deal with all, put out a couple of piles, surround myself with a circle of stuff sacks if I need to, without having to worry about getting the inside of my nice dry tent soaking wet with my wet, disgusting body. So then I'll change into my dry clothes in that environment. And without leaving, kind of like a caterpillar building its cocoon around him, I'll hang my tent on the poles and just like work from the inside. And, I just do the same thing in the exact opposite order the following morning. I get dressed, I tear down the tent from the inside out. The rainfly is still standing when I climb out of it. I'm back in my wet clothes from yesterday. And then I just take that wet rainfly, put it in a separate bag on the outside of my pack, and I'm ready to go.
Hey, do you remember the first time you actually used that method to set up your tent in the rain? Because I do.
I do not. Was there something?
Because you had a grin on your face the entire time, and you were so excited to set up your tent in that way for the first time in actual rain, not just as a trial run. You guys, you should have seen him. He was like giddy like a schoolgirl, and he was trying to figure out how fast he could do it. He's like, I've practiced this. I can do this. It was really quite a bit of fun.
The speed trials are going to pay off someday.
And it did, and I don't remember where it was, but I remember the clearing that we camped in kind of seemed like an old logging or an old road.
I remember.
And it was almost a little gravelly.
Yes.
Like you remember that?
I do now. Yeah. Now that you mention it, it's weird how just like one or two words will take you back to a place like just.
It was slightly gravelly, maybe an old road. Those things somehow.
Mm-hmm.
Bam.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 4 years ago. 4.5.
Ridiculous.
Just there's so much stuff that happens on the AT that just a few little words can bring back huge memories or a detailed memory.
Yeah.
So
that's probably
fun times.
Why there are so many traditions on the Appalachian Trail.
I see what you
I
did
did
there.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're good at these transitions.
All right.
There are quite a few transitions. Traditions.
It's all downhill from here, folks. In fact, thank you. Good night, everybody.
All right. Those smooth transition to traditions.
Yeah. So, I mean, just, hiking the AT itself, that's a tradition in and of itself. But there's so many things that happen along the way that are so special that people have decided to make it a thing that
everyone does.
Yeah.
Or a lot of people do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because not everyone really should be doing all of these things.
Well, there's a couple of them that it's recommended that you actually don't do. And I have a list. And not surprisingly,
wonderful.
Yeah, not surprisingly, as most of the lists that we reference on this show, this one comes from the Trek.
And as most things related to the Gary, I haven't seen this list yet, but I'm going to make an assumption that, like most things related to this podcast and the AT, there is going to be probably some food,
yes,
and maybe a little bit of nudity.
You're exactly right. Yes, food, poop, and nudity, the three things that you need for a successful podcast, regardless of your topic.
This.
Yeah, even if you're doing like some kind of a financial advisory podcast, I really think that food, poop, and nudity would spice that up as well.
Yeah, just a little bit.
There's a trail tradition involving poop. I've not heard of that one.
I bet you could just, invent one and it would catch on.
I'm not sure if I even want to know, or I want to invent one, to be honest.
Well, they always say it's not a through hike unless you crap yourself.
Is that true?
So, an unsung tradition, maybe. I mean, I'm just throwing that out there.
I don't think everybody poops their pants, but I think everyone gets at least close to pooping their pants, or it knows one other individual who they hiked with. And I can think of a very specific person who legitimately crapped his pants. I can't think of a more pleasant way of saying that. As an adult.
Everybody does it. Don't fool the fragile young listeners' minds that are listening. Everybody does it.
So I think I want to start our traditions talk with Fozzie, since Fozzie had to travel from across the pond to visit the AT. And we'll get to our list in a minute, but I want to ask Fozzie, before we get into the list, are there any AT or PCT or other trail traditions in the numerous trails that you've hiked that stand out to you? Any that you remember or personal favorites?
The one I didn't do was I didn't do most of them, to be honest, but I remember I don't even know where it takes place or what it actually involves, but it's something to do with drinking beer over a period of 24 hours on the Appalachian Trail. And I decided not to do it, but I remember the fallout the following day and the hangovers and general condition, and most of the hikers around the camp was pretty horrific. Horrific's probably a too strong a word, but they kind of regretted doing it. Does anybody know the actual the details of the beer tradition on the Appalachian Trail? Because it's escaped me.
24-hour challenge, man.
That's it.
24-hour challenge.
The suitcase challenge, is that it? I think I've heard it called the suitcase.
I seem to remember suitcases involved somewhere as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Reptar, you seem to know about this. What's the 24 24 thing? What is that?
Well, the thing is that this doesn't specifically apply to only the Appalachian Trail. I know people on other trails that talked about doing this. I would not recommend doing it. I personally have not done it, but I know from a health standpoint, I'm pretty sure that 24 beers in 24 hours is pretty much the maximum amount of beer you can drink.
24, isn't it 24 by 24 by 24?
24, oh yeah.
24 beers, 24 hours, 24 miles?
Yeah, Captain in the chat just explained.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay.
Good God.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Okay, 24 beers. I need at least 3 weeks to drink that.
Yeah. Need some time to put a dent in that.
Yeah, I mean, even if I'm hiking for 24 hours and trying to hike 24 miles, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's the kind of tradition that we should be promoting.
No, we're not promoting this. Yeah. It's probably not good for your health. It's probably dangerous.
Yeah.
I'm saying probably because I'm not an authority on this subject, but I think just Googling it and maybe, the internet or just like a general understanding of how the human body works and physiology, and that like water's good and that alcohol is not a good idea. Please don't do this at home.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Or on the trail or anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not good trail stewardship.
Yeah, nice example, Fozzie. Way to get things off to a good start.
Well, hey, I'm not here to say some things are bad and some things are good. I don't think it is. I'm just simply stating there's a tradition on the AT to get absolutely drunk.
It was a true statement. It's a true statement.
Do with it as you will.
No fake news from Fozzie.
There's an interesting, I don't know if you could call it a tradition or not. My local trail in West Sussex, which is South England, is kind of just near Brighton to give you some sort of picture. But my local trail, South Downs Way, which is only about 100 miles long, about halfway there's a place called Chanctonbury Ring, which is used to be an old, I think it's Iron Age or Stone Age hill fort. It goes back to, I think, the 5th century before BC, something like that. It's really old. It's just kind of like a clump of trees now, but there's a tradition or a saying or folklore, whatever you want to call it, that if you run around the ring, I'm going to get this wrong as well, but I think if you run around it 10 times, the devil appears.
Ooh.
Whether you could call that tradition or folklore, I don't know. I haven't tried it because it's actually quite a long way round, but well, actually, I'll say it's quite a long round. It's probably... You could probably run around it in 2 or 3 minutes, but I haven't tried it. But I suppose you could class that as a tradition, I suppose.
Heard of that.
All right, so I put a link in the chat to this article on the Trek that is called 10 Fantastic Hiker Traditions on the Appalachian Trail. And this article is written by Kenny Howell. And anybody want to take a guess without actually looking at the link? Just take a wild guess. How many times do you think this article about traditions on the Appalachian Trail has been shared? I'll give you a hint. I'm going to go with
1,300.
This might be the most shared article that's ever been published on the Trek. 500.
I'll go with 50,000. I'll throw 50,000 into the ring.
528,000 times this article has been shared.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. So I'm going to guess that a lot of the traditions that you've heard on this list are things that you've probably heard of before. Seems like a pretty popular list. Kenny Howell on the Trek. This article is from 2014, so it's been around a while. In fact, I remember Katie, Trail Name Gamera, my wife and trail boss, sending me this article right after I started the trail.
I read this one too.
Yeah. So let's just go through the list real quick, and we'll talk a little bit about each of these traditions. Remember, these are for the Appalachian Trail. Number 1 on this list is carry a stone from one terminus to the other. Any of you guys ever do that on your through hikes?
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Existed.
I've never done that.
It's kind of like the El Camino where you have to carry a seashell.
Oh, is that?
You do carry it. You can carry a seashell on the Camino, actually, but I did hear a fair few people saying that you're supposed to carry a stone from Not the start, but from where you live, basically. A small pebble, you carry it with you, and there's a place called the Cristofero, which I think the literal translation is the Iron Cross, which is a huge iron cross on top of a massive pile of rocks.
Oh, and the tradition is to carry that?
No, you don't have to carry that. You carry the pebble, and you leave it on the Cristofero, and it's supposed to signify leaving your worries. So you kind of bring your concerns or your worries with you along the trail, and then you leave them at the cross. But I didn't know that actually existed on the Appalachian Trail as well, or carrying a pebble at least.
Okay. Yeah,
I think I knew one hiker that did that. They carried a rock from terminus to terminus.
So according to this article, probably one of the earliest traditions I can recall being introduced to along the trail. That's Kenny saying this. And he also does go on to mention that how popular this... here, I'm going to start over. How popular this tradition is today is anybody's guess. I personally did not participate, as its relation to leave no trace tactics is questionable when you have the theoretical potential of 2,000 stones being moved from one mountain to another each year. So that's a good point. If everybody carried a piece of Springer Mountain to Katahdin, how much of Springer Mountain would be left after how many years?
Springer Mountain could disappear.
Maybe that's why Springer Mountain's so small.
Yeah, that would completely screw up the start thing, wouldn't it? Yeah, people going down to the Appalachian Trail in 20 years' time, and they'll be like, where the hell's Springer Mountain gone?
But that's actually a very real concern, though. I mean, that's a tradition, but it is clearly, if you're going to be one of those people who follows leave no trace to the exact letter of the rules, then, that's a violation of leave no trace principles. It's the same reason why people kick down rock sculptures or, making air quotes around cairns. Things like that. It is a
very valid point. Is it actually from Springer where you're supposed to take the stone, or is it from somewhere else? It's definitely from Springer, is it?
From one end to the other, according to this article about traditions.
Okay. It's a good point, though. You wouldn't think one stone would make any difference, but like you say, when you've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 hikers every year, that's a lot of stones.
Yep.
Our year, Gary, in 2014.
I know what you're going to say.
And you know where I'm going with this. And maybe other people have heard of this in other years. They took a different take on this tradition, and instead of carrying a stone, there was a rubber chicken.
Yes.
And the rubber chicken on the side of it said something like trying to get to Springer or trying to get to Katahdin or something like that.
Yep.
So it was like left with different hikers to carry, and I carried the chicken for, have any idea? I want to say it was at least 500 miles.
Yeah, you carried that chicken for a really long time.
I carried that chicken for a long time.
Yep. And people treated that chicken like a trail journal. Whoever carried it for a while would write on it. The way like kids write on a cast when you break your arm.
Yeah, people would sign it.
Yeah.
And the chicken would be mentioned in the logs just so that people knew where it was. And it, when someone, I can't remember who I passed it off to, but I have no idea if that chicken ever made it.
That chicken made it to Katahdin. I don't have the pictures, but I remember seeing the pictures after we got back. Somebody
heard that, but I didn't see the picture. Yeah. Oh, thank goodness.
Yep. And I knew that you had carried the chicken.
Poor chicken.
Because everybody had written their names on it, and this chicken right in the crotch said Voldemort.
Nice.
I don't know why I find that so
Guys,
funny.
It was another Voldemort. I swear. It was another Voldemort.
Right where the eggs come out.
Well.
Oh my God.
That.
Yeah. So the next trail tradition that's on our list here. This is a big one. Trail names.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of a no-brainer. Everybody's got. I don't say everybody. Not everybody has a trail name. Some people.
Everybody has a trail name.
No.
But for those people who are just tuning in, no idea what a trail name is. Anybody want to take that? Anybody want to explain what a trail name is?
I don't know. What is the correct description of a trail name? A name or a nickname that is given to another hiker, depending on... I did write this down in one of my books, actually, and I've completely forgotten the exact explanation I've used, and my brain's going fuzzy because it's called at 1 a.m. I don't know, someone might have a go at this.
I would say
that could be
that
given.
a trail name is, like you said, a nickname given to you by other hikers or another hiker. And it could be for, a plethora of reasons. Say, you spilled, beans all over you or something like that. You get the trail name Beans. Or I know a guy that he had sticks or twigs all in his ramen noodles, and he got the trail name Twigs. So, yeah, I think it's pretty much just a name or a nickname that other hikers give you and you can choose to adopt the name or dismiss the name for another trail name. Just because somebody wants to call you, Python or something like that doesn't mean that you have to accept the name Python.
I don't know, man. That's a pretty badass trail name.
That is a badass trail name. If you deny enough trail names, you might get a trail name based on the fact that you've denied trail names.
Oh, that's true.
Not that I'm speaking from experience or anything.
So your trail name would be something like trail name denial.
Voldemort. It could end up being Voldemort as well.
Yeah,
my name's not.
Yeah, the way that came about is Megan and I were traveling together for about a week. And I think even before I'd met you, like 4 or 5 other trail names people had tried to attach to you, and you just didn't. You don't have to accept.
I didn't like.
Yeah, you don't have to accept your trail
any of
name.
them.
Oh, they say your trail name is whatever you answer to. So, what were some of the trail names that you rejected, Megan? Do you remember?
Someone didn't. Well, I guess the first thing is I started without hiking poles, so I was very, very quiet. That was a bad idea. I never should have started without trekking poles. So I was really, really quiet, and someone mentioned maybe Ninja, and I was like, no, there's a ton of ninjas. And Ninja Mike was out there.
Ninja Mike.
And I had seen him in the logs, and I was like, I don't want that. I also have a tendency to warm my butt over a fire, which I think is normal because everybody stands face first, and sometimes your face gets really hot. Legs aren't exactly toasty. So someone wanted to call me fire ass, and I was like, I don't need a sexualized name with ass in it.
Yeah.
I want something I can tell my mom about.
There you go.
And I'll be like, hey, Mom, I got my name. It's Fire Ass Ninja. Like,
I think Ninja's got to be like the most popular, if not the or part of a trail name going. When I first started hiking the AT, I remember someone had Ninja, or a part of their trail name was Ninja. I thought, hey, that's pretty cool. And then like 2 weeks later, after you'd heard 787 other mentions of Ninja, you got a bit fed up with it.
Yeah, so I didn't want one of those names where I just kind of get confused or kind of get lost in the mix of all the ninjas. And I already knew there was a specific ninja that was hiking within a week of me. And I was like, there's no way. I don't want to I just don't want it to be a thing where it's like, which ninja are you?
Right.
So I just kept hiking away and hiking away.
On the note of names that are very common, and I'm probably going to get a lot of heat for this. If you're a girl, avoid the name Sunshine, please.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
So many Sunshines.
Only because no one's going to know which one you are.
I have met at least, no joke, 8 Sunshines.
It's a common one.
Yeah, there's always a bunch of Sunshines. There's a really surprisingly large number of lone wolves out there, too.
Yes.
Lone wolf.
Lots of lone wolves. If all of the lone wolves got together, they would no longer be.
They would be alone. They wouldn't be alone anymore.
They would just be a pack.
Yep.
They'd be the wolf pack.
Yep.
They would be a huge wolf pack. There's always a lot of Bigfoots.
Mm-hmm.
Beards.
Yep. Gandalf.
I knew 2 Gandalfs.
It was interesting. When I did the AT, everyone was kind of like not in a huge rush, but they were curious about getting a trail name. Not many people had them, and yet when I did the PCT, I did the PCT before the AT, and when I started the PCT, everybody had a trail name, which gives you some kind of indication that most people generally do the Appalachian Trail before they do the Pacific Crest Trail. That's all I have to say on that one.
Oh, okay. So to finish up the story about Megan's trail name, A bunch
Yeah.
of names didn't
My
stick.
bad.
Even before I met her, most of our conversations were about why she didn't have a trail name yet. And I suggested a few, and they didn't stick either. And I was talking to Katie on the phone one day, about a week after I'd met Megan, and I was telling her about this person who, oh yeah, we tried to give her like 6 or 7 trail names, and none of them would stick. So Katie, I don't know if you were still reading Harry Potter at the time, or if it was just fresh in your mind because Harry Potter is so awesome. But Katie said, "Oh, Megan is she who shall not be named. Let's start calling her Voldemort." And I hung up with Katie, and later I saw Megan that day, and I explained it to her, and I said, "She who shall not be named, Voldemort, huh?" And Megan didn't know what I was talking about because
No, I did
Oh,
know
you
what you're
did?
talking about. I did.
oh, okay,
I just didn't like it.
oh, so okay.
Yeah.
And even that still really didn't stick because I remember like north of Pennsylvania you started going by Voldemeg, and then didn't
Yeah,
you eventually
it transitioned a little bit.
drop it all together and just like I'm just Megan?
It cut out. Did I what?
Did you just drop it all together and just start going by your real name?
I went by my real name. I like Voldemort. I end up liking Voldemort. But when you told me about Voldemort, I still remember it correctly. I'm pretty sure I was still not convinced that I liked you enough to hike with you.
I'm still not convinced that.
I think that's where I was. So I was kind of like, okay, yep.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm gonna hike away from this guy, and I'm never gonna be called Voldemort. I'm like, I am not gonna be known as a really, really pale white bald dude with no nose. Like
You're a wizard who eats babies.
It's like I am not a mean person. I was like, I'm always wearing like it was actually hot coral, bright coral vest. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna take this name. It sounds so dark and evil. I hate it. But then when you hike with someone for so long, and they call you something and you start responding to it, it tends to stick.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry.
Someone called me Voldemeg, because my name is Megan, so it kind of worked out. But so I kind of switched between the two.
Well, I'm sorry if I was too pushy.
Meg, though. No, you weren't too pushy.
Okay.
I was just obstinate. How many names I had declined up until that point. I was just going to keep declining them until I liked something.
Mm-hmm. So here's
Trail names work. You don't always get to pick the one that you like.
That's true. Yeah.
Sometimes you get stuck with one.
And sometimes people just don't get a trail name either, and that's okay.
Or they give themselves one.
Yeah.
And that's
true.
also okay. If you want to name yourself or you want to go by like a childhood nickname, like that's perfectly fine. You do you.
Yeah.
You do you, boo.
Yep. The whole thing's made up, you can pretty
Hey,
much.
Gary.
Hi, Larry.
Hey, man, now on trail names, let me tell you something I learned about trail names.
What you got?
You want to watch when you meet somebody with a trail name like Twisted or, Darth Vader and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
A lot of times those people have given themselves their own trail names. And in a way, they're kind of giving you a warning about what they're like, sometimes. I mean, you got to, most people, if they're going to give themselves a trail name, they give themselves a pretty good trail name. But every now and then you get some people that don't think too good of themselves anyway.
Yeah,
so they're giving themselves bad trail names. And then in the process, they're acting no good, too, with you as well,
Yeah, that makes a good point. I remember Megan and I met someone on our hike whose trail name was Bandit.
Oh, God.
Yeah, wouldn't you know? Turned out somebody you don't really want to have around. That guy.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Are we allowed to say what we actually named him?
Yeah. Go ahead.
We renamed him, not to his face, in our own conversations. Although now he knows. Hi, Bandit. We renamed him Tick.
Yeah, because we couldn't get rid of
what?
Tick. Tick.
Tick.
Yeah,
because he like the little insect thing because he latches on and he sucks.
Yeah. Every year too, you get a lot of people coming up the trail. I'll tell you what. Ever since 7, and this is my opinion, and my opinion only. Ever since he started them damn hiker trash videos, it brought out a whole different crowd of people out here,
Mm-hmm.
And so but and that crowd has always been here, but not at the level it is now.
Right. Yeah.
So, yeah, I've been around the trail since for
Long
years.
time.
Around
That's
the
right.
community anyway.
This next tradition on our list is just down the road from you, Larry. In fact, this next tradition goes right in front of Crazy Larry's house. The hiker parade at Trail Days is number 3 on our list of AT traditions.
Yes.
Yeah, the hiker parade at Trail Days is a spectacle to behold.
Oh boy.
I wrote a story about that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It starts so downtown Damascus. For anyone who's never been there, Larry, how many stoplights are there in Damascus? Is there 2?
Zero.
Zero stoplights in
No
Damascus.
stoplights. There's
Okay.
a stop sign down there by the by where the old down there by the car wash as you're coming in from 91.
Yeah. The point being that that Damascus, Virginia, is a really, really small town, but the Appalachian Trail goes right through downtown. The white blazes are on the telephone poles on Main Street, so you'll actually walk downtown. And pretty much every year since, I think, like 1987 is when Trail Days began, or is it's recognized as having begun. It kind of started as an informal, almost like family reunion kind of tradition before it really blew up. Now, what do you think about 15, maybe 20,000 people in town for Trail Days, Larry?
You what?
You think there's about 15,000 people in Damascus for Trail Days?
I'll tell you, Brent. I don't know what Brent thinks, but I'll tell you what. I think we get quite a few more than that usually. Now last year it was pretty damn wet, so I don't know. I didn't really come out of my concave over here. I just recluse.
Yeah.
This last year.
So, yeah,
but I'm thinking, quite a few more than 20,000.
Yeah, 20 to 25 are pretty conservative estimates from years past.
40 to 50 maybe now.
Yeah, it gets pretty crazy. And the cool thing about Trail Days,
every year, Gary,
it is. It's getting bigger every year, but it's the kind of event that, you've probably heard stories about how crazy Trail Days is. It's a wild party and there's a bonfire and every year somebody gets in trouble. And, if you get 20,000 people together, that's the size of a small city.
The majority of people who get in trouble here at Trail Days are locals, okay?
Yep. Yeah, and the point that I wanted to make is that things like that are so incredibly rare at Trail Days that for an event that size, it's actually really surprising how well everybody gets along to have that many people in such a small amount of space for 3 days. And
hiker prom.
Hiker prom is part of Trail Days. So
hiker music.
And I don't have
there's something for everybody. It doesn't have to be all about the party. I mean, there's gear seminars and travel logs, slideshows, storytelling, just all kinds of different stuff besides just heavy drinking. So
there's music, there's food, there's things for the kids. There's
workshops, man. Jennifer Farr Davis has given a couple presentations. Warren Doyle, he's been a big name on the ticket over the years.
And probably the highlight of the weekend is this parade, which they close down Main Street, which is probably about a half a mile long from one end of town to the other, and all of the through hikers from previous years gather in the streets, and it's really fun to watch this thing form because it's not really organized. You just kind of get people holding up handmade cardboard signs that say class of 2015 or class of 2011 or, whatever. And they don't even
out of order.
Yeah. They don't even go in order. There's the class of 87 followed by the class of 2012. and
you might see like the class of 2017 twice.
Yeah. Right. Cause nobody's in charge.
You're forgetting a big key element of the parade, which is the crowd lining the streets with water guns.
Yep. Water guns and hoses and buckets.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's just you just walk down the street and you just get pelted with water and it's a real parade. Like, they have, the streets are closed and the fire department's there, and they have, the mayor comes out and there's people riding in Corvettes waving, and you know what I mean? Like, it's a real parade, but there's like 13,000 hiker trash just curb to curb, shoulder to shoulder for as far as the eye can see. And it's beautiful to witness.
Yeah, it's a good time.
I didn't know about the water fighter trail days, and I remember somehow I didn't know about the water fighter trail days, but I remember being in Damascus and walking up the main street when it was starting to warm up. I mean, there wasn't any people out or anything, but I remember that there was people sitting on their porch, and occasionally I just get like a jet of water in my right ear or on my left leg. And I kind of look over, and there'd be this little old dear sitting on a balcony with a smile on her face and like this. The AK-47 version of water pistols or rifle. And I'm like,
Super
why are they
suckers
shooting me with water? I don't understand what's going on. And then it all kicked off.
This is the U.S. We like our guns and even our water guns. Apparently.
Apparently so.
Apparently, we're pretty intense.
Yeah, the year that Fozzie hike, there was a tradition that everybody dumped all of the tea into the harbor. I don't know what that means.
That was a stretch of a joke.
It was.
That was a stretch of a Boston Tea Party type of joke.
So, do you remember?
Historical.
That was one of my dumb jokes that just didn't work. No, I'm actually gonna give you the better. It's still a dumb joke and it doesn't work, but I'm gonna give you the less dumb version of it.
Better version of the dumb joke?
I don't know. When we were hiking through
I'm on board.
Massachusetts, do you remember how all of the water in the creeks and streams in Massachusetts had that kind of reddish brown tint to it? From all of the tannins, because we were finally starting to get up into like pine tree country. So, the water has a little bit of a color to it. And when Lemmy was hiking with us, Lemmy was our friend from Israel. And this is I think it was like his second time visiting the U.S. was to hike the AT. And we were telling him about the story of the Boston Tea Party. And we told him that they dumped so much tea into the harbors that all of the water in Boston was just that color. That's about the same reaction we got from Lemmy too. When I say we, I mean me. Yeah.
Great story there, Gare.
Yeah. Hey, you guys want to hear another terrible story?
Comedy segment. Want
to hear another terrible story that goes nowhere and has no punchline? I've got a million of them.
Ease.
That's what editing is for. Let's look at our list of traditions again.
Let's go back to reading the thing. Hey,
the number 4 list on our list of glorious AT traditions is to hang off of McAfee knob.
What?
Well, so I think what he
what they're getting at is a picture.
Is like sit on the end and dangle your feet over the edge. Because if
all right,
yeah, if you hang off the edge of McAfee knob,
sit up there drunk.
Yeah, don't go up there drunk. If you don't know what McAfee knob is, you could probably just picture it. If you think of, well, it is the most photographed spot on the entire AT, and the place where people always stand to take the picture. You see on the right side of the picture, it almost looks like a cliff, and it looks like there's nothing below it because there isn't. And, you can see beautiful rolling hills of Virginia in the background, and it's the place that everybody gets their picture taken, and it's really easy to see why.
The reason it's so photographed too is because it's very close to like a parking lot that's on a main road where people can like park there and then hike up, and it's not too much of a hike up. Beautiful sunset. If I could dig up the pictures quickly, I might be able to from I had a sunset there. It was beautiful. I did actually hang off it. Like dangle my head over the edge.
I couldn't do that. I couldn't do the dangling my feet over the edge. I'm not. I can deal.
I had a spotter.
Not enough to sit on the edge of McAfee knob. That would have. I just couldn't have done that. I had a look, but I kind of like Tinker Cliffs. Do you remember Tinker Cliffs, which is just a little bit further on? Tinker Cliffs was really nice.
Yeah, the whole area is gorgeous.
A lot of good overlooks there.
I think doesn't Virginia have what they call the Virginia Triple Crown? And I think it's McAfee Knob, is it Tinker Cliffs and is it Dragon's Tooth or the Priest
Accurate.
or yeah, which is it? I forget. There's like these three.
I don't remember which ones they are, but I think they include Dragon's Tooth.
Yeah, over by Virginia Tech.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? They call it the Virginia Triple Crown.
I've never heard of the Virginia Triple Crown, which is
Definitely heard
kind
of
of
that.
surprising because I'm from Virginia.
Thing.
Does this involve beer again?
Yeah, I'm just gonna Google it real quick.
Grant, have you ever heard of Virginia Triple Crown?
Okay, here it is. The Virginia Triple
Yes.
Crown.
Hey, Gary, wait just a minute. Brant here, he's heard of the Virginia Triple Crown.
Hey, tell us what you know about that.
I'm trying to remember exactly. It includes McAfee Knob and Dragon's Tooth, and there's something else. I want to say Tinker Cliffs, maybe.
I think that's
I could be wrong about that, but it definitely Dragon's Tooth and McAfee Knob, and I think you're supposed to do them all in one trip. I could be wrong about that too, but that's what I know.
There we go. Oh, here I just found it online. The Triple Crown is a 37-mile backpacking loop, which includes 3 of these iconic vistas: McAfee Knob, Tinker Cliffs, and Dragon's Tooth, all on the Appalachian Trail near Roanoke, Virginia. So there we go.
That's a
one
pretty
little
gnarly
piece.
loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, 37 miles.
I feel like yeah, if you were trying to do that like all in one go, I feel like you might miss a few things if you're trying to not, like if there's a time limit on it. But anyway, I do want to go back to McAfee Knob just very briefly for the ever level-headed PSA. Please don't dangle off of McAfee Knob and blame us for it, or just in general.
Just don't do it. Just don't.
It can just don't do it. I mean, a lot of us on the call have admitted to doing it, myself included. But it is really, really dangerous, and there are deaths that occur, injuries and deaths that occur at McAfee Knob. There was going to ask
if there's been any fatalities there, because
there was a fatality last year. A hiker fell and made it to the hospital, but then, if I remember correctly, did die when he did get to the hospital. So it's a real thing. You know, it's really, really pretty, and we all take pictures, but it's one of those things where you really got to be safe about it because, you know, worst case scenario is pretty bad. So
yeah, it is a cliff, and you can fall off said cliff.
It's not one of those like illusions, like where it looks like you're hanging off a cliff, but really there's something right underneath you. It really is so just be careful. So that's my PSA. Sorry, I always have to throw that in there.
That's a good one. We've got a PSA for the next one too. Number 5 on our list of AT traditions is jumping off the James River footbridge.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the James River footbridge is the longest footbridge on the entire AT, as its name suggests. The bridge lets hikers safely walk across the approximate 700 feet to cross the river. And the bridge itself it doesn't say here how tall it is, but I think it's got to be close to 40 or 50 feet. You're pretty high up.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I'd say probably I don't know, 35, 40.
That's it. Did you do it?
No, I did not. But a guy that I was with did it for the sake of the documentary. I was like, you know what? I'm not about jumping off of high objects into brackish water, you know? That's just not my thing.
Brackish water. Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I remember when we got there, it was the 4th of July. And there was a uniformed ranger with a badge and a gun. I can't remember if it was a police officer or just a forest ranger, but he was standing on the bridge and telling people that if they wanted to jump off, they would get arrested. So that day, nobody was jumping off the bridge.
The thing is, you would still get to jump off the bridge, wouldn't you? Because they can't arrest you for intention of jumping off a bridge. So you'd still get your jump in. They'd arrest you when you got out. I did jump off the bridge, but in my defense, and again, I would recommend this to anyone. First of all, it was damn hot, and I just wanted to cool off.
Yeah.
And secondly, I was goaded. I think someone called me chicken when I refused, which was, I just had to do it after that.
It was basically a push.
Oh.
Yeah, it took me a good 5 minutes to do it as well. It's that thing's at least 700 feet at least.
So now we know what Fozzie's kryptonite is. Just call him chicken and he'll do whatever your heart desires.
Come on, McFly, you chicken.
Do you know this? It's funny you should say that, because as soon as you said chicken, Marty McFly was the first thing that popped into my head. Why do you chicken?
It does say right here, right in the article in bold letters, it says, take note, jumping off the James River footbridge is illegal and you should absolutely not do it. So
yeah,
number 5 on our list is a thing that you should not do. And I guess if you do, and if you don't get caught and you're carrying around the weight of your crimes or sins with you, number 6 on our list is a good way to cleanse your soul, and that is to confess your trail sins to the priest. What does that mean?
The priest shelter. Yeah. That was an awesome trail journal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that logbook was awesome. Yeah, basically
read that thing all day.
The priest shelter. So
yeah, give us a summary for what's that tradition mean?
So for those that don't know, there's trail logs inside of each shelter where people say, the date and, hey, it's so-and-so, and, whatever the ramblings of the day.
Yeah, logbooks.
Logbooks. So the unique thing about the priest shelter is this is where everybody confesses their trail sins to the logbook. So it makes for some really good reading.
Do you remember what you confessed?
I honestly don't remember what I confessed.
Is this just trail sins or sins in general?
I think it could be whatever you feel like you need to confess to or about. Most of the ones that I saw in the book were trail related, like people saying, I took a crap and it wasn't like 200 feet away from water or something like that, Like, oh, that's so grimy.
Oh, right to the poop stuff.
Yeah, right, there you go.
Yep, always something about poop. Yeah, the priest is the name of a mountain. By the way, it's a 4,000-foot peak, about 30 miles before Rockfish Gap, according to this article. So it's a pretty substantial climb. And when you get to the shelter there, yeah, like Reptar said, there's a book that everybody writes their things in. And I think, so I can't remember exactly what I did trail confessions, and I think I confessed to wrath. Like I went through each of the 7 deadly sins and had like something that I did on the trail related to it. Like wrath was I got really mad and kicked a rock one day, and gluttony was I treated the all you can eat buffet like a more than you can eat buffet.
Nice.
Stuff like that. Not real. Like I killed a guy.
Yeah, I don't remember what I confessed.
His body is under the privy.
I'm sure if you flip through enough pages.
I didn't even know this one existed. This is the first trail tradition on the AT I've not heard of.
Oh,
I had no idea about this
one. Well, we'll have to go to the priest, hike the mountain, and then figure out what Gary confessed and what I confessed, because I don't remember.
Yeah, I took pictures of what I wrote, but I can't. I should have thought of that before and gone through my.
I could probably take a good guess at what I wrote at that time, because I think when I was in Virginia. Oh, I mean, this is something that I do. I don't know if I confessed it. I'll confess it now, though.
Okay.
I stopped using hand sanitizer after going pee.
Oh. Like every time?
Like, yeah. Like I started only using like actual soap, and I didn't want to get the hand sanitizer out after I peed, because I stopped taking off my pack to pee.
Wow. Okay.
So stopped taking off my pack to pee. And if I felt like I needed to wash my hands, I would reach in my bag. I would grab my Dr. Bronner soap or whatever biodegradable soap I had at the time. It might have been the Sea to Summit stuff. I would put a drop of it in my hands, I would have soap on my hands. And then for the water, because I didn't have an actual water bottle, I was doing just the hydration bladder. I would, this is the worst part, I would suck water from the hydration bladder into my mouth and then put it, like let it drip onto my hands and use it as a faucet to wash my hands. And then I was like, yeah, my hands are clean-ish.
For some reason, I feel like this is not the first time I've heard this. Like, I feel like you've told us this before.
I still do that. Like, if I'm hiking and I don't want to, like, take my pack off to find hand sanitizer or whatever, I still do that. Soap and water. And the water just happens to come from my hydration bladder and my mouth.
Which, on that note, I just want to say to all the people listening, the fist bump is your friend.
Oh, yeah.
And if somebody's like offering you food out of their bag, it's probably best to just say nah, or, yeah. Because that's kind of how you get Noro, you know what I mean?
I knew what I was doing, and I wasn't about to touch somebody else's things because I knew my hands were like my own germs. So I wouldn't like pass someone food with my bare hands. If I was going to share something that came in a package, I would open the package and like dump some stuff out for them into their hand. Like I knew that my hands were not safe to touch other people.
Yeah, I'm not accusing Voldemort here of being a dirty birdie. I'm just putting the PSA out there.
It's not just me though. Like this is the thing for typhoid.
I know
this is a real thing though. Like you don't want to touch other people's hands. And my example is a perfect reason why you don't want to touch someone else's hands, because gross people like me live on the trail and will do things like that. I'm not the only one who does this shit,
so
guys.
You not touching other people's hands isn't so much like you being paranoid, it's you being considerate, right?
Considerate is basically what I'm saying.
I just want to put it out there that I know multiple people that don't even carry toilet paper with them. I'm not naming names, but I just want to put that out there.
Okay. All right. So what are some alternatives to toilet paper on the trail?
Oh, there's some really good leaves. I'm very picky about my type of leaf.
Fozzie, I think you had something
about toilet paper.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll admit to not carrying toilet paper. I used the douching method with a water bottle. I needed to save weight and pack size, and obviously toilet roll was taking up too much of it, so I didn't use it. No, in all seriously, I used I don't know what the method's called. Is it the douching method or kind of like the portable bidet? But
portable bidet, yeah.
Bidet.
Yeah. Okay.
Bidet.
How did did you have like a special water bottle attachment? Like how do you make this bidet work?
It's actually very similar to the way Megan, your method works. You fill up your mouth with water and then you bend way over.
You get real good at yoga and then you can reach.
I'm sorry.
This is another very good reason for being good at yoga. You can use the bidet method. Obviously hygiene was of paramount importance to this. You didn't want to get your bidet bottle mixed up with your drinking bottle, so I carried two separate bottles. And
was there a special attachment though, or did you just use like the regular?
I just used an old water bottle. I think it was a smart water bottle to be precise.
Or a squirty nozzle on it?
The smart bottles were good because they're kind of like the bottles were quite flexible, so you could get a good jitter coming out of that.
More like a shark water bottle.
Oh, God, Gary. I love this idea of a portable bidet.
Always going back to poop.
It's true.
Always goes back to poop. And another good reason for the
always goes back to poop.
Oh, boy.
I just Googled portable bidet, and there's actually a plastic contraption that you can buy that fits on a standard water bottle that shoots a really nice straight stream of water at your tush.
I'm sure someone's invented something.
The only thing I have concerns about is the extra water you have to carry. I mean, I didn't want to carry extra water to wash my hands, so would I carry extra water to wash my butt?
It didn't. It was a bit of a problem on the Pacific Crest Trail, but on the Appalachian Trail, it wasn't too much of an issue because, let's face it, you don't normally have to wait that long before you find water somewhere on the AT, so it wasn't too much of an issue.
That's true.
And it says here if you add a splash of Listerine, you get that extra tingle in the morning to really keep you. It doesn't say that anywhere.
Dude, another PSA. Don't do that. I don't think Listerine is. I don't think they like their packaging says you probably shouldn't let it touch those areas.
So no boofing Listerine. Got it. Number 7.
Boofing.
Oh man.
It's just farting.
Don't boof Listerine and don't gargle. I don't know. Hey, number 7 on our list. Get your photo taken at the Appalachian Trail Conservancy headquarters.
Yeah.
So, Ferry, West Virginia.
Yep, you've reached that psychological halfway point. You've got the headquarters of the Appalachian Trail Conservancy right there. Their records. So the tradition is you stand outside the front door of the ATC. They take your picture. You write down your start date, which direction you're going. They give you a number. They count the number of people as they pass through Harper's Ferry. It's one of many statistics they collect. And they have been keeping records of hikers passing since 1979. So they have all of these big, thick 3-ring binders full of Polaroid photos in laminated sleeves that go all the way back to the 1970s. So part of the tradition is not just getting your photo taken, but actually sitting there in the headquarters building and just kind of going through, like the history of hikers and seeing all the people who have come before. It's a really neat place.
People like Baltimore Jack.
What about Baltimore Jack?
He's kind of a trail legend. Rest in peace, Baltimore.
I'm sure he's in those books.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Multiple times.
Yep. So number 8, since we're at the psychological halfway point for number 7, number 8 takes us to the actual halfway point. You know what happens there, right?
Half-gallon challenge.
Yeah.
Where it happens.
Yeah. Who wants to tell us what they know
That's
about
where
that?
that pooping your pants thing happens.
Okay.
I didn't do
2 half gallons.
I didn't do the half-gallon challenge for one very good reason.
You say you did not?
You
No, I
lactose
didn't
intolerant?
do it, for one very good reason. They didn't have raspberry ripple ice cream. Do you get raspberry ripple ice cream in the States, or is that just an English thing?
That sounds delightful.
I'm sure it exists somewhere.
It
but-
is. It's just basically vanilla ice cream, but it's got like really intense raspberry ripples running.
Gifford's has
so they
something
didn't have
that's
raspberry
similar to
ripple,
that.
and they didn't have my other choice, which was mint chocolate chip. So I didn't do it.
I did mint chocolate chip when I did mine. I did mint chocolate chip, and the thing is that the containers that they sell there aren't a full half gallon, so they give you like a little side cup.
Oh, that's
and
right.
I think I actually had, I think it was blueberry ice cream was my side cup.
So nobody told me that when I was there, so I only ate what I thought was a half gallon, so I was a pint short.
No.
Nobody thinks any less of you.
Spoon.
Nope.
No, I don't. I don't deserve it. I really should just put it in the mail and send it back. But they also didn't have really. I think they only had like orange creamsicle, and then flavor. Gary, do you remember what you had?
Yeah, and I'm also trying to remember when I think we talked about this with Turnaround when he finished his flip flop. I can't remember when we recently told this because I know I just told the story not too long ago. I went with vanilla and mint chocolate chip, and my vanilla was my
sounds nice.
Like the quart and a half, the big one that's supposedly a half gallon but isn't for real. And mine
That's what I wanted.
had I think maybe the power had gone out or something, and their freezers had stopped working because it completely melted. And all of the flavoring and syrup and sugar settled into the bottom of the half gallon before it refroze. So when I first dug in, all I'm getting is just iced milk, and it's really easy to eat because there's no syrupy sugar. So I just like tore through the first half of it real quick. And then I got to the bottom of it and it's just like solid, like a caramel, like an inch and a half deep, just thick frozen syrup, just sugary. I could just feel my feet swelling as I was eating, like the diabetes just kicking in. And, I wanted to throw up so bad when I was done. But I couldn't.
The not hiker trash in me thinks that sounds terrible.
What is the half gallon in litres? Can I ask? Does anybody know?
What's that?
I was wondering what a half gallon is in litres. Anybody know?
Oh, that's a
1.89 liters, says the internet.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot of dairy mass to force into your gut on a hot day.
Yeah. So
Yeah, it is.
they only had, I think I already said this, only had orange creamsicle when I was there. Disgusting.
Mm-hmm.
Some other weird mixture of like something that's just too much going on. I really just wanted vanilla so I could just chug it down. And I didn't know there was another little pint. However, that where you buy the ice cream is it Pine Grove Furnace State Park?
That's exactly
Am I saying
right.
this correctly?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Furnace State Park. And they also have an area there. There's like a quarry. So right nearby where people come in and they go swimming, and there's like showers and concession stands. So I ate this gallon and was not actually a half gallon. We went over to the swimming area, showered in these showers, and then ate a ton of fried food after.
Like how long after? Like 2 minutes or?
Like an hour or two.
Okay, an hour's acceptable, I think.
It's a huge volume of food. There was the fried funnel cakes. There were hamburgers, French fries, and soda, and all of that was consumed before leaving and hiking out.
Megan, I don't think you've got anything to be ashamed of. You saw food and you grabbed the opportunity.
Don't worry, the story's not over, because this is the time when I nearly, as well as got caught doing it. Got caught pooping in the woods.
Okay.
I had one of those moments where like I was hiking and I was like, this could be the moment that I shit my pants as an adult. I had leveled with it.
Hey, Megan, don't worry, your time's coming when you're going to hit 50.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you'll get, if you ain't shit your britches by the time you hit 50, don't worry.
Hold on a second, I'm 51 and I've not done that yet.
Something to look forward to.
I can't wait. I'm so excited to age. Yeah, so I was able to find a rock to just move to the side. It was not the proper depth of a cat hole, but it was like a little bit of dug. I was able to get into the position soon enough, which thank God I was. However, attempting to complete this process, a couple and their dog hiked by within eyeshot, and I stared at them the entire way that they were hiking, like past me on the trail, and I did not move a muscle, and they didn't know I was there. Lay down.
I was hoping that you made eye contact.
Oh God, it would have been so bad. Oh, it was so close, but I held my breath too. I held my breath for a couple of reasons, but but I waited.
Oh, no.
So you were a ninja, huh? Ninja pooping.
That was a ninja poop. And I mean, obviously I was close enough to the trail that they could see me. That is not good leave no trace ethics. Like it was an emergency.
No. Well, okay.
Sometimes it just happens.
We all get caught out.
So speaking of having your ass hanging out, number 10 on our list. Yeah, number 10. So I'm actually going to skip number 9. We're going to come back and we're going to do number 9 last. Number 10 is Moon the Cog. Moon the Cog. What they mean by that is the cog is that train that takes people to the top of Mount Washington in New Hampshire. This train was constructed in 1869, and it was the world's first mountain climbing railroad, and it carries people all the way to the top of the 6,288-foot summit. It has been a long-held thru-hiker tradition to pull down your pants, and moon the cog, wag your ass at the passengers. And I guess it started because we don't like the cog. Is that it? There are a couple of theories. Here we go.
You could take a guess that because it's isn't it coal burning?
There are a couple theories as to the start of this tradition. Some say that it started as an act of protest against the railway due to the noise and pollution it generated. However, pollution factor may hold less validity now that all the railway's engines run on biodiesel. Okay. So people started protesting the cog by showing their butts to it. I don't know how effective that was, but now they use biofuel and it's better for the environment. So maybe mooning things helps?
Maybe.
I'm just gonna chime in again.
Please.
I talked to a ranger about this, and this is another one of those things that is also illegal.
Definitely.
Don't say.
Please don't do it.
Exposing yourself to a tram full of children might not be the best idea. Unless you want to end up on the offender list.
Yeah,
just saying.
All that business about us being, trail ambassadors and like we supposedly are the face of the hiking community. Well, we're also the ass of the hiking community apparently too.
And for the record, in the state of New Hampshire, I'm like 99.9% sure you can get on the sex offender registry in the state of New Hampshire for public indecency. So it's just don't do it.
Okay.
It's not one of those things where you're like, oh, it's public indecency and I got a $200 ticket for it and I have to go to court. It's like, oh, it's public indecency. I got a ticket for it. I have to go to court. And I now have to tell everyone like that I'm a sex offender and I'm on a list. So even worse, just don't do it.
Yeah, well,
but
go ahead.
There's safe for work options. What the group that I was with did when the cog train went rolling by is we just bent over and shook our butts at it.
There you go.
Call us vanilla, but I'm not trying to end up on a list.
Mild innuendo. That's not illegal.
Yeah, it was more the gesture.
I'd like to know from the perspective of people who have taken that tram to the top of the mountain. Does the conductor warn people to avert your gaze when you get to the top because there might be hiker butts out there? Or has
anybody ever taken the cog railway?
That is an interesting question. Perhaps we should do some in-depth research on this and go and actually
get right on that next year when there's no snow.
Do we know anybody?
I'm sure the conductor of the tram probably makes some sort of announcement that it is a tradition of the Appalachian Trail hikers to moon you guys.
If you don't want to
to avert your children's eyes.
So thank you for paying $66 for this train ride in which your children might be exposed to some really dirty butts.
Picturing Indiana Jones tied to a post, like, look away, Marion! Don't open your eyes.
And for those who don't know, like the trail actually gets really, really close to the train, so it's not like you have to go off the trail.
Oh no, it's right there. It's like right there.
Yeah, you walk across.
You walk over the tracks, so it's not out of their way to do this. You could also just wave, because there are probably some little kids on board, and they're probably really excited to see hikers who have walked up the entire mountain.
Okay,
waving at them. You could also be.
All right, so
like a kid's day.
Or you could shake your butts at them and make everybody giggle.
Or you could shake your butts at them and the kids would go, I don't know what they're doing. What's that?
All right, well, if number 10 on the list has you worried about getting put on a register or getting arrested, number 9, and this is the last one from our list because we did these out of order.
It will definitely get you on a registry.
This one will definitely get you on a registry. That's right. This is a thing that really exists. Every year on the summer solstice, you'll find the many trails in America flooded with a lot of bare asses because June 21st is something called National Hike Naked Day. Not just on the AT, but supposedly trails all across the United States on, the first day of summer. Everybody takes their pants off, takes their shirts off. Everything must go. Skinny dipping, skinny hiking, right? Who's done it?
For sure. Yeah. My whole squad did that.
Okay.
It was awesome. Yeah. Hike naked day, man. Obviously it wasn't like a whole day event. All right. Because like you said, the last thing, it was actually on Father's Day, I think, when Hike Naked Day came around. So the last thing we wanted to do was like roll up on a guy and his son going for a nice little family hike.
bear and all. But we waited until like the evening, like dusk, when we thought that most people would be off trail, and that's when we went the full Monty.
Full Monty.
Yep.
And then realised you were in the middle of town, yeah?
Wait, what?
Yeah, but hike naked day, it's definitely a common thing. I mean, I know that there's
it's a real thing, and it's not
of
just an
people that do
AT
it.
thing.
Oh yeah, it's
Global.
global,
Pretty sure it's global.
for sure.
All right, so let me ask you this,
Like
Reptar.
where
You
common
say
sense applies.
you said your whole squad did it. Was your squad a sausage fest, or did you have a mixed group?
Nah, we had some females.
Okay. And everyone participated?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was some level of comfort there. It's like, everybody's seeing me.
Right.
But, the thing is, it really wasn't that big of a deal because it's like, everybody's doing it, whatever. You've seen each other pretty much crapping in the woods and being as dirty as possible. So it's like a naked body is really like a big deal. Not to mention, and this isn't a trail tradition on the AT, but the trail goes right through a place in Pennsylvania that hosts a nudist resort. And I know a lot of us stopped at that place. And, so it's whatever, it's liberating.
Yeah.
Why not?
And at that point, if you've been hiking for a while, a lot of the people you've been hiking with might have already seen you partially, mostly, or fully naked at that point because you're living outdoors. You don't have a bathroom with walls to go into. I guess you could go privy, whatever. But when you're changing your clothes, like if you don't want to be cramped in your tent all the time,
yeah,
sleeping in shelters, or if you're hammocking, you don't want to try to do the whole change your clothes in a hammock. You're not going to walk into a privy that's 0.1 miles away because it's 0.1 miles away. Gosh darn it, that's a ways. You're not going to walk all the way over there just to go into the smelly privy to change your clothes. You're probably just going to do it in front of your friends.
This is quite funny because we've sort of advised everybody not to moon the cog, but the way we're going with this sounds like hike naked. That's perfectly acceptable.
It does sound like that.
Interesting, isn't it?
Well, I just want to clarify. Okay, so the train, you have an active audience. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas hike naked day, you can kind of dictate, no pun intended, who's witnessing what you're seeing. You know what I mean?
It's like a wave. Everyone caught on. A wave.
Yep.
But yeah, you can.
That is a good point. You can kind of choose your audience, I suppose, can't you?
Yeah, if you're far enough out in the woods and away from any roads, chances are you're not going to see a lot of day hikers or people who are from town. Yes, there's always a chance you wander upon a Boy Scout troop in the middle of the woods. That might be a little iffy. But, if you just have something handy with you to cover up, Gary.
Speaking of which, I'm debating on whether or not to share my hike naked picture here with the picture with the group. Because
you could also just tell us what you did.
Yeah, and before I do, I want to before we get too far off topic, I want to pull back to something I was mentioning earlier. Pinkman actually mentioned this in the chat. He said, "Does it matter if it was just men or women or a mix? Everyone does what his group." Everyone does it. What his group was doesn't matter. And that's kind of the point that I was trying to get at when I was asking Reptar if he had a mixed group or if it was just a sausage fest. Mostly for the benefit of people who aren't quite as familiar with how close-knit the hiking community is. And Megan and Reptar and Fozzie all, kind of alluded to this factor too, is that just, not even on hike naked day, just like through regular hiking life, you see everybody pretty much at their worst. You're all picking blisters around each other and talking about poop and doing these things. So to someone who's relatively new to the activity or to the community, thinking about like, oh, well, a mixed group of people hike naked together. And like, kind of the point why I brought that up is because we form these trail families and these cliques that get so close and so tight knit. Plus, everyone's so gross. You're not really leering at the naked person. You're kind of going like, maybe, you know what I mean? So
Is that a blister?
so that was kind of why I wanted to. That was kind of why I was going in that direction. But what I did on Hike Naked Day was I took my hat and put it over my front parts, and then just tied the like the chin strap around my waist, and I just wore my hat. So I was technically naked, but I also didn't like if anybody was going to see me, the worst they were going to get was like a butt cheek and some armpit. So
yeah, I actually had my camera bag blocking the meat of that one.
Everybody usually finds some creative way to hide the goods.
The picture is actually on my Instagram in my tagged photos. My friend, yeah, thanks Fancy Pants. He went ahead and uploaded that one. So
what a good friend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
that's what friends are for. To put
right.
pictures of your wiener on the internet. No.
No wiener. No wiener.
No, none. So, it's while some of these traditions are, they kind of straddle the line as to, whether or not you should or shouldn't. Maybe it's a leave no trace thing, like carrying a rock from one end to the other. Some of them are just flat out, you're not allowed to, like jumping off of the James River Bridge. You'll get ticketed for doing that, and a couple others we mentioned you're not allowed to. Hike Naked Day, I still can. I keep that tradition every year now, and I do it in my backyard. I've got a trail on private property, so I just get completely naked and walk around my yard on June 21st. That's how I celebrate. So that wraps up our list of trail traditions brought to us by the Trek. I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us tonight and talking about this and sharing their stories and in some cases pictures of each other's butts. This has been a lot of fun. Fozzie, you want to give us a quick rundown on how people can follow you if they're interested in knowing more about Fozzie?
Sure, just check out my naked hiking pictures on Instagram. Pretty much the easiest thing to do is just go to my website, which is keithfoskett.com.
I'm pretty sure if you Google naked Fozzie, you get R-rated pictures of the Muppets.
Oh God!
I've never tried it, but no, I haven't tried that one. Just keithfoskett.com, or my books are on Amazon. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. All the usual stuff. You'll find me. I'm out there.
Always nice of you to join us. Thanks. And Reptar, you want to tell people how they can follow you?
Yeah, same deal. All the social media channels: Instagram, Reptar Hikes, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. And one last thing is, on the note of it being illegal to jump off the James River footbridge,
okay.
There is another bridge by the Pancake Lady's house,
yes,
right after the New Hampshire-Vermont border, I think.
Yes.
And there are two blazes painted on said bridge. It's about the same height as the James River footbridge, except, well, it is illegal, although the people that painted the blazes there have said that police officers have actually prompted people to jump off said bridge. So if you really want to get your bridge jumping fix in on the AT and not do it at the James River footbridge, there will be another bridge that you can jump off of later down the road.
Yeah, that's becoming the new jumping bridge.
So is another bridge. I feel like that could be a song.
Seems much safer too.
Yeah.
You can actually see in the water. So
yeah, that helps a lot.
Just
too.
Want to put that out there.
Plus, you get out of the water, and instead of having to hitch to town, there's pancakes right there.
Boom.
You're
What's
done.
not to love?
Exactly. Yep. Cool. All right. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks again for hanging out. If you guys have questions for the show, our email address is sfttshow, like stories from the trail, show @gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those places. We'll post a link each week when we do our live recordings. The more the merrier. And everyone who is listening is invited to keep coming back. We'll do this every Wednesday. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you next time. And our topic next week is going to be, we're going to talk about a typical day in the life of a thru hiker. We're going to start at sunup and take you to sundown and tell you, in general, what you can expect. One other way to reach the show, you know what, Daniel, I don't think we're going to do the hotline anymore. No one ever calls it, and it's just not working, so we're not going to do it. People are sending us emails and messages and just joining us right here. So
anybody actually call on the phone anymore?
No, and I've been putting it in the show notes, and I think people just don't want to leave voicemails. It's just kind of antiquated technology, so we're dropping the phone number from the show.
And I guess you could text it also. That number is probably textable.
It is. Yep. All right. So
what about that Patreon?
Oh yeah. So
yes.
If you are interested in supporting the show, patreon.com/stories from the trail is where you can go to do that. For as little as $1 a month, you can help us keep bringing you episodes of the show. Some of the rewards that you get for supporting the show, remember, this isn't, you're not just giving us money to just keep doing podcasts. There are extra things that come with that. Our patrons, depending on what level you support at, get Audible codes for free audiobooks. I'm sending out signed paperbacks at certain levels, ebooks. We just redid the artwork for the show, so we're going to start doing hats and stickers and T-shirts and things like that. But again, just even $1 a month helps a lot to cover the bandwidth and the equipment and our time. You know, there's a lot that goes into this, and it really helps. So every little bit is appreciated. Thank you. All right, cool. I think that pretty much wraps it up for tonight. Oh yeah, the live recordings from these will be put on our Patreon the very next day. So if you don't want to wait 2 weeks for me to edit this together and put in theme music and robot voices, the raw audio is available the very next night to our patrons. So that's another benefit for joining as well. All right.
Edited versions of our awkward pauses.
Yeah, you get it all the burps, all the farts. Yep. All right, guys.
All the poop jokes.
Well, again, it's been a lot of fun. This is more fun because you guys keep showing up. So thanks again, and we'll catch you next week.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Pizza time. Stories from the Trail is a production of thetrek.co. Zach Davis, editor-in-chief. Your hosts are me, Gary Sizer, Green Giant, and Megan Thompson, known as Voldemort. Our music, as always, is by Lee Rosevere. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to the show. If you'd like to join us for our live recordings, it's free. Find out how by following us on Instagram or Facebook, where we'll post a link each week. And if you can't make it to the live recordings, just keep listening to the show. We'll be releasing them. If you don't want to wait 2 weeks for me to edit one, the raw audio is released immediately after each recording for all of our patrons who support the show for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/storiesfromthetrail. The show is recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Gary Sizer, here at Blanket Fort Studios, which is just me and my blanket with a basement over my head. What? Thanks for listening.
This could be the moment that I shit my pants as an adult. I had leveled with it.
Hey, Megan, don't worry, your time's coming when you're going to hit 50.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you'll get, if you ain't shit your britches by the time you hit 50, don't worry.
Hold on a second, I'm 51 and
God.
I've not done that yet.
Something to look forward to.
I can't wait. I'm so excited to age.
Platoon, dismissed.